Hello. In this short talk, I'd like to convince you of the following three things. 1. That summaries improve question generation. 2. That the upper bound of the performance improvement achievable from using summaries is quite high. And 3. That current question generation models are good enough to be used in classroom settings today. What is our paper about? So this project came from the fact that my advisor had to teach a class full of students, and they gave us feedback to improve the reading quizzes. And my advisor thought, can we automate this? And so we did. Our idea was we took the textbook, extract the text from the textbook, pass it through a model that generates questions, and then we would have questions that we could then filter to create our reading quizzes from. In order to do this, we needed to get a question generation model, and so we looked on the Hugging Face Model Hub and found this great model trained by Suraj Patil, who is a Hugging Face engineer. This model was trained on 3 different pre-training tasks. First, answer extraction, then answer-aware question generation, and finally, question answering. We evaluated this model's output by asking our annotators to annotate each question for 5 points. 1 is, would you directly use this question in a quiz? 2 and 5 are the standard grammaticality and correctness questions, and the 3 and 4 are, does the question make sense out of context, and is this question relevant? We found that while grammaticality and correctness were very high, we struggled to get relevant and interpretable questions, and this resulted in only 1 of 3 questions being actually acceptable to use in the quizzes. So let's look at this a little bit further. So an uninterpretable question is one that you can't make sense of out of context. So what seems to matter more than its frequency? We don't know what it is. It's uninterpretable. For relevant questions, something like, what do algorithms have to deal with? Ambiguities. It's a well-formed question, but it's not something you'd want on your quiz because it actually just doesn't matter for computational linguistics. So how do we fix this? So our solution was to add automatic summarization. So if you pass text from the textbook through automatic summarization and then give it to a question generation model, you're only going to get relevant questions. The summarization model works by taking in a passage and outputting a passage that has the same content but less words. Note that it extracts only the most relevant sentences. So if we do this, we actually get a huge improvement. So we see improvements in interpretability, huge improvements in relevance, and this corresponds with 50% now. So 1 and 2 questions being acceptable. But summarization sometimes makes mistakes. So this passage is completely nonsensical that came out of the summarization model. How do we know what the upper bound on performance is for summaries if they were perfect? If we compare to human written summaries, we can see what would happen if we had perfect summaries that would never mess up. We compared to human written summaries and we're very surprised to see that we had over 90% interpretable questions, over 90% relevant questions, and we had 4 out of 5 questions as directly acceptable. I hope I've convinced you of the following. Summarization improves QG, upper bound on performance is very high, and QG models are usable in classrooms today. Want more detail? Read the paper. Want to run the code? Check out our GitHub. And thanks so much to my awesome collaborators. And thank you for listening.